We begin tonight with Bill O'Reilly, host of the No Spin News, author of the coming book, Confronting Evil, Assessing the Worst of the Worst. Bill, I think you and I agree both that this is risky, that winning is not a foregone conclusion, and that the stakes are extraordinarily high. Have we ever in history seen a president gamble in this way with the U.S. economy, with U.S. national security, with our prestige around the world and our influence by choice?
Herbert Hoover.
That didn't work out well.
Hawley tariff. Didn't work out for Herb, but he gambled because he didn't know what to do after the stock market crashed in 1929. So in 1930, he slapped these humongous tariffs, hoping that Americans would be forced to buy just American and the industries would prosper, thereby the recession would recede. The opposite happened. But I think you've been a little too kind to President Trump tonight, Leland.
That would be a
You're
first.
correct well, it's up to you, but you're correct in the goal is noble and righteous. And if it works, the country will be a lot stronger, just as the country was after Reagan. That was a very good analogy. The problem is that people are feeling pain. The American public's feeling pain. And whenever that happens, the leader of the country has to reassure in a personal way. And I don't think Donald Trump's done that yet. He did it to his credit. He has press availabilities every day. I think in the first 2 weeks of administration, he passed Biden's 4 years. People should applaud that, and he had one today. But he hasn't looked into the camera and said, look, I know you're suffering. I know your hard-earned dollars are not what they were on paper a month ago. And I know it's because of me. But stay with me here. And then he piles on the facts, because this is personal. But he hasn't made it personal yet. And I think he has to do that, which is why I said you've been a little too light on him. Now, at 7 o'clock, I turned on CNN. I wanted to get a wider look at reaction to what Trump did today. And the anchor at 7 is a very smart woman. She's an ideologue for the left, but she's not a nut. To my shock, she was almost sympathizing with China. Let me tell you about China. They are the worst cheaters on the planet. Mm-hmm. They steal, every untoward thing that you could do economically, they do. Every year, the United States sends $300 billion more to China than they send to us in trade. $300 billion. Ireland, with a population of 5 million, takes more U.S. goods than China. Ireland. China blocks U.S. goods from coming into their country. So I don't care whether their tariffs 5,000%.
Yeah, no, this seems to be this seems to be about remaking and putting China in a box, right? And there's a lot to that.
It's not. No. It is a game of chess, but it's more than that. It's a throwdown. We've had enough. You heard Trump say it.
Right.
You're building your military you're building your military off U.S. dollars. We're financing their military by the trade deficit. You're building that military to a point where war will be inevitable. Because you are stockpiling weapons and men to an extent that you don't need to be defensive. Trump knows this. But I want to get back to the American media. They don't know it because they hate Trump so much. Okay. They never report the truth. They never report the big picture. They never give you the danger of China, ever. Oh, Trump's being mean to China. Oh, it's 104%.
No, he's not being mean to China. But I want to get back to this idea of the comforter-in-chief, right? Sometimes you're the commander-in-chief. Sometimes you're the comforter-in-chief. You got to look in the camera. You got to tell the American people, I'm on watch. I'm here. I'm in control. Donald Trump, during his first campaign, 2015, 2016, and conservatives at all used to roast Barack Obama for playing golf all the time. Roasted Joe Biden for being on vacation. 3 days of golf for Donald Trump, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He was asked about it. First that, then what he said about it when it was Obama golfing.
How was the golf tournament?
Very good, because I won. It's good to win.
You have Obama that wants to play golf instead of deal with people. You know, part of being a leader is to get everybody in line.
And you think you could convince?
Yes, I think I could. That's what I've done. I've made a fortune with foreign countries.
Is he living up to his own standard?
Look, it's small potatoes, to quote the Meyer Lansky character in Godfather 2. I don't care if he plays golf. I want him to be clear-headed. I think that overall, what he's trying to do is Reagan-esque. And I hope, as an American, he succeeds.
Yep.
I don't know whether he will, but I think he will. The indications now are that the foreign countries will get hurt more than America. That's why they're all coming on.
That's why they're willing to negotiate. You said before, last Monday we
Right.
talked about this, you said he has till April of next year. Do you still feel he has that much time?
Yeah, well, it
Wow.
depends. Panic is hard to contain.
Yeah.
And there was panic, absolutely panic, because panic turns into anger.
Mm-hmm.
And people feel helpless. They feel trapped.
Yep.
They feel they weren't informed. And all of those are valid. I'm telling people not to panic, because that emotion hurts you. There's nothing positive about it. But if you're annoyed and you're angry, you have a right to be, because this was a blindside. It blindsided the market. The market didn't know
Right.
that all of this stuff was going to cascade down at once. And in hindsight, maybe you took on Mexico and Canada first, then you went EU, then you went China, or the opposite.
Right, you did some. You know something that's interesting? There's a parallel here, right, Bill? Because when it came to COVID, Donald Trump was right about so much. He was right that it came from China and they covered it up. He was right that we shouldn't have locked down and closed schools for years. Right that we shouldn't have closed the economy for a long time. Right to put in Operation Warp Speed and to surge resources to a vaccine. Right about so much about it. And yet he lost the 2020 election because of COVID. And I think what I'm hearing from you is he has not learned from that mistake.
No, you're not hearing that from me. Each situation is different. I thought he handled COVID about as well as anybody could handle it. Operation Warp Speed saved
But he didn't
millions
get the credit.
of lives.
He didn't get the credit.
Well, that's because the media hates him.
You don't think it
That's
was
why.
how he handled it? You don't think it was the same view of what you're saying, what he's doing right now, that he's not being empathetic,
No.
not understanding?
People-
Okay.
People understood COVID. They don't understand what's happening now. And I'm going to throw one more stat at you that's very important. China holds $760 billion in U.S. investments, bonds, things like that. 760, more than anybody else in the world. Okay? The reason that China does that is because no one wants the yuan, their currency. It's worth 14 cents to the dollar. Nobody wants it. Okay? So if you go to China, you want dollars. You're not putting yuans in the Swiss banks. Nobody wants it. So the Chinese accumulate these dollars by buying American investments. But that makes them strong, because they pull that investment out, okay, which they can do. That's going to shake this country. So Trump's got to be careful.
Yeah.
He's got to meet with Xi eye to eye and say, look, we're on a path of mutual destruction here. And we are. both countries, no winner in this trade war. No winner. But you got to stop stealing, and you got to stop being unfair. And we'll cut you some slack because we know you have 1.5 billion people, and most of them have nothing. We understand. But we got to stop this now. I don't know whether she would respond to that. Certainly,
that's an interesting point.
She is a lot like Putin. They're both sociopaths, couldn't care less. All right? So I don't know.
No, look,
China has power.
You know the Chinese are lying when their lips are moving. That's what I've always heard from our folks from the national security side. So I agree with you. Bill, it's always good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.